Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it may be where you are at. Thank you for making the KSO and me, Kyler Durham, a part of your day. Hope you're having a good week so far. It's Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. If you're listening to this a little bit later, happy 4th of July. My name is Kyler Durham. I am a member of iFilm Center's production, involved with the Not Your Normal podcast, the Academy of Conspiracy, and the KSO, Kai Sports Opinion. So I'm back today. I'm by myself. Last episode was with Garrett. We might have a guest on soon. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. But today I want to start off with something that, we've talked about for almost 4 years now, but I just want to give a little bit of my opinion about it. And I want to talk about Collin Kaepernick real quick. And I'm going to make this one short, and then I'll start hitting on the other topics. So, well, first off, I got a lot of NFL today, a lot of news from the NFL, a little bit of NBA, and then we'll finish with some baseball. So, Collin Kaepernick, back when he knelt, and I can't even recall the year because it seemed like it was so long ago, but there was a lot of people, including myself, that didn't understand the protest and just saw it as a sign of disrespect. And when you're in life, sorry, I just ripped my earring out. When you're in life comes at you, as Colin Cowherd says, life comes at you through the windshield. And once life came through the windshield and went out the back of the car, and you look through the rearview mirror, you see things differently. So as the Colin Kaepernick story has progressed, we can all look through the rearview mirror and look back. And people that, I'm not saying people that had an issue with it were wrong, but people that disregarded it or hated him for it, or didn't think that he should be allowed to do that, we were wrong. He was standing for a cause that he saw as a real problem, and we see it more today than we did then, that it is a real problem. And what he stood for, or should I say knelt for, there's actual validity behind it, and he's made the ultimate sacrifice by doing so. He could have kept his mouth shut. He could have stood hand on the heart, national anthem. He could have talked about it after games or press conferences or whatever, and it wouldn't have really been a story. It would have just been like, yeah, Colin Kaepernick's talking about rights movements and stuff. But he put his career on the line. He put millions and millions of dollars of money that he would have made. If he hadn't done that, he'd still be in the NFL. And he went ahead and made that choice because to him, doing what he did was more important than making money, than having a career in football. He saw that he had a platform and he had a voice that people would hear, and he knew that it was going to possibly tarnish or ruin not only his reputation but his NFL career, and he did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. And now that we look through the rearview mirror and we can reflect on it, and we're not in that emotional state of mind the first time you see something, I've said this a lot on the NYNP, being a prisoner of the moment. Now that we're not prisoners of the moment, we can look back and go, yeah, America didn't really handle that well. The NFL didn't handle that well. And the dude had something that he believed in and that he stood for. And it's sad that it's taken this long for people to realize that, but it comes with its own rewards. So Colin Kaepernick has done what he wanted to do and has brought awareness to what he wanted to bring awareness to, and is making real changes in the world, which is fantastic. Also, for money that Colin Kaepernick has lost, Netflix announced, I think today, maybe a couple days ago, they'll be doing a 6-part series on Colin Kaepernick. He'll receive royalties for that. He'll be paid for that. So maybe that's a little reimbursement, as well as there are teams in the NFL that could use a backup quarterback, and there are teams in the NFL that Colin Kaepernick could fit their backup quarterback situation. Maybe in Baltimore, Robert Griffin III gets injured, roll him right in. Him and Lamar play somewhat similar. If something happens to Geno Smith in Seattle, he could roll right in, and Pete Carroll will take the risk with players like that, just like I feel like John Harbaugh would as well. And I think it's deserved. I think Colin Kaepernick deserves to be back in the NFL because as of right now, I know he hadn't played in 3.5 years. It's a long time. It's all centuries in football. But whenever he was out of the league, he's still ranked in the top 30 of quarterbacks. If each team carries 2 quarterbacks, 32 times 2. That's 64 roster spots for a quarterback. You're telling me Collin Kaepernick's not one of the best 64 quarterbacks in the world? I think he is. And if you're afraid that he's going to bring in drama into your locker room, he's not. He's a good teammate. He's a good guy. He just has a stance that he stands for. And I think an NFL team is going to – I'm using the word roll the dice because there is a little bit of controversy that'll come with signing Collin Kaepernick. But I think there's a couple NFL teams that will, start some negotiations. And I think he lands somewhere this year. And I think it's well-deserved. And I think he did the right thing overall. And just to show that he has the support, one of the most prominent athletes, one of my favorite athletes in the world, LeBron James, says, according to Pro Football Talk, he said that LeBron James says NFL needs to officially apologize to Collin Kaepernick. This article was posted 4 days ago. It says verbatim, Roger Goodell has apologized for the league's inability to initially absorb the message from its players from player protests during the national anthem since 2016. Goodell has said he would encourage teams within the NFL to sign Collin Kaepernick after a 4-year absence, as he was cast aside by the league's teams following his decision to protest that started the movement. Star NBA player LeBron James believes there's an apology that has yet to be given that needs to be by the NFL. In an interview with Jason Kelly of Bloomberg Business Week, LeBron James said Kaepernick himself deserves a direct apology from the league. In quotes, LeBron says, as far as the NFL, I'm not in those locker rooms, I'm not with those guys, but I do understand that an apology, I have not heard a true official apology to Collin Kaepernick on what he was going through and what he was trying to tell the NFL and tell the world about why he was kneeling when he was doing that as a San Francisco 49er. I just see that to still be wrong. I just see that to still be wrong. Now they are listening some, but I still think we have not heard that official apology to a man who basically sacrificed everything for the better of this world. So, if LeBron James has your back, you're probably doing something right. Probably. But yeah, I think Cap gave the ultimate sacrifice, being his career and being financial security for a cause. And I think now that we're starting to look at life through the rearview mirror and not see it coming through the windshield at us, we approach that situation a lot differently. And I agree with LeBron James that maybe Roger Goodell needs to officially, publicly apologize to Collin Kaepernick. But so yeah, so that's kind of my first little political topic. But from now on, it's going to be straight football. So yesterday, I was going to record this. I'm actually recording this on Monday when this episode comes out. Had some scheduling issues, had to re-record some stuff, so we're a little behind. But it actually worked out. It was actually a blessing in disguise, because yesterday there was a signing in the NFL, and it is a quarterback. And I was very excited when I saw it, because I just thought, this guy going to this team? Come on. If you haven't heard yet, the New England Patriots have signed Collin Kaepernick to God, I can't talk. I'm an idiot, Aaron. The New England Patriots have signed Cam Newton, former MVP of the Carolina Panthers, to a 1-year contract. It is reportedly more than $1 million, according to multiple reports. He reportedly could earn up to $7.5 million in incentives. So the Patriots signed Cam Newton, I almost said Collin Kaepernick again, signed Cam Newton to a 1-year deal. And, of course, Vegas will have to change some odds. Everybody on sports radio has been talking about it on ESPN, all the shows, and they all have their opinions. There's people that got the wild opinion that he's going to make him good, and there's people that say that he's not even going to get to play. I am right in the middle. I think with Jarrett Stidham, I think the Patriots, I've said this multiple times, I think the Patriots are in that 6-6, 8-8 area. They'll be a boring 6-6, 7-9 football team with Jarrett Stidham. I think with Cam Newton, they're a little more exciting 8-8. They kind of top out right there at 8-8, 8-8, 9-7 football team that misses the playoffs. Um, with this signing, though, I think this is going to be a little difficult for Cam Newton because when Cam Newton played football at Blinn Junior College, the offense was tailored for him. It was made literally for him because he was a star player. Then at Auburn, the offense was literally built, the team was built around our freak athlete at quarterback that we have. And they won a national championship with it because in college you can win a national championship with one star player and you just completely focus your whole offense, their whole team schemes around him. Then in the NFL, he's your number one pick. You draft a quarterback with the first overall pick in the draft. Yeah, your system better be built around that dude because you need that guy to succeed or you wasted your pick and the GM's getting fired. So even in Carolina, the offense is built around Cam Newton. But now in New England, it's not. New England has a system. In Cam Newton's collegiate and NFL career so far, he was the system. He was the system. Now he's going to a place where there's already a system and there's already a culture, there's already a system in place that he is now going to have to fit into. It's now Cam having to fit into the system, not the system fitting into Cam. And I mean, just look at the track record since Cam's been in the league. That system in New England, yes, you have Tom Brady, but that system in New England has been much more successful than the system that is built for Cam Newton. So I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. He will get some snaps, obviously. He's going to compete with Jarrett Stidham for the starting job. And if I had to put money on it, I would say that by the start of the NFL season, Cam Newton will be the starting quarterback. I think there'll be a little bit of competition maybe early in preseason, but I think Cam's the starter. And I don't think this is a contract of, yeah, this is our quarterback for 5 years. This is our quarterback for the next 10 years. I think this is just a thing for a mutual agreement for both sides. Hey, we'll sign you to 1 year. You show everybody that you're healthy. You go out and ball, and you get you get a good contract next year for a team that wants you as their starting quarterback. We have a serviceable guy that can win us some games, that can keep us interesting, that can basically keep us out of the basement. And then we'll either sign a free agent quarterback next offseason or we'll trade some picks because the Patriots have a lot of picks in the next couple of years, and we'll move up, and we'll get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or somebody like that. So I think this is a lot like Jameis Winston in New Orleans. Jameis Winston is going to be there solely as I'm going to show that I'm healthy. I'm going to show in practice that I'm developing still, I'm learning, and that I am not the way I'm not what people think. People think that Cam is kind of done. People think that Jameis Winston throws a lot of picks. He's kind of done too. I think for both of them, the situation's a little different. I think for Cam Newton, it's to show other teams and show the NFL I'm healthy, I can still play, and I deserve a contract. And I think with Jameis Winston, this year is going to be watch me in practice, watch me in the film room. I'm either the heir apparent to Drew Brees or next year in the offseason, somebody's giving me a bag and I'm their starting quarterback. So I think with Cam, I think Cam starts for the Patriots. I think they go 8-8, 9-7, right in the middle, right there at 500, kind of flirting around 500. I don't think they get significantly better with Cam over Jarrett Stidham, but I do think they get better. And I'm kind of excited to see what a player of the athletic ability, even though he's been injured, he's still a freak athlete. I want to see what Cam Newton's athletic ability can do with Bill Belichick. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be a fun season in Foxborough. Not a good season, a fun season. So we're going to stay right in New England too. The Patriots have done it again. Patriots have done it again. And it's... Before I even get into this, I don't really know how to explain this, and I've talked about it on this podcast before about how I've taken topics from The Herd, from First Things First, from Speak for Yourself, from Stephen A. Smith's show on ESPN Radio. I've taken topics, and I put my own twist on them, I change them up, but they inspire me they help me with an idea, and I change some talking points. So you could say, you stole this person's topic. Okay, that's fine. If you do it once, it's plagiarism. Like I've said, if you do it multiple times, You're just borrowing stuff and reusing it. It's okay. If you steal one line from a book in your report, it's plagiarism. But if you cite everything and you give credit where it's due like I do, and your whole paper is just pulled from a book, but you cite it correctly, you didn't plagiarize anything. You used something and gave credit and put your own twist on it. That being said, plagiarism is kind of a form of cheating. And everyone that's ever went to school that's had to write a 10,000 word paper or a 10-page paper, I've had to do that for one of my aviation classes, you plagiarize. You plagiarize something, and you just cross your fingers, hope you don't get caught. And every NFL team cheats. Every single NFL team, from the New England Patriots to the crappy Cleveland Browns. That's right, the crappy Cleveland Browns. They might make the playoffs this year, we'll see. But everybody cheats. New England just does it more than everybody else, so they're bound to get caught. So we've got the Spygate against, was it the Jets? Against the Jets, I believe. Then you have Deflategate, where we're deflating footballs against the Colts, which that doesn't matter. They could have played that game with a bouncy ball. New England would have won. Then you've got with the Bengals this last year that they supposedly had filmed practices and stuff. What came out yesterday, on top of the Cam Newton signing, it came out that the Patriots were fined $1.1 million. They lost a third-round pick in the 2021 draft for inappropriately filming the Cincinnati Bengals sideline during a game last year. And the game they filmed was the Bengals-Browns game. So, also, as well as being fined and losing the picks, the New England Patriots team production crew will not be allowed to shoot any games in the 2020 season. The filming occurred at the Bengals game at Cleveland on December 8th of this last season. The Bengals host the Patriots the following week and lost 34-13. So I don't really understand. So if you're going to film somebody, first off, that would be like Tyson Fury. If you don't know who Tyson Fury is, the boxing champion right now. That'd be Tyson Fury filming somebody else's workouts and not filming Deontay Wilder's workouts. Because Deontay Wilder's the guy that he goes head-to-head with, and they're going to have their rematch this year. You'd film that dude's stuff. You wouldn't film some guy in the middleweight that you're never going to fight, or that if you fought you would kill. So I don't understand why New England was filming the Cincinnati Bengals, because they're going to kill them anyway. The Bengals were god-awful last year. I think they'll be pretty miserable this year, even with Joe Burrow. I just don't understand. If you're going to cheat, film the Chiefs. Film Tennessee, who looked pretty good near the end of the year. Film the Ravens. Don't film the worst team in the conference. If you're going to cheat, first off, don't get caught. But don't cheat at all to begin with. But everybody cheats. In the NFL, writing a paper, whatever. Everyone cheats at some point. So if you're going to cheat, don't get caught. And if you're going to cheat as often as you do, make it worth your while. Cheat and get film of teams that you'll actually play in the playoffs. Don't get film of the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. I was just flabbergasted that that's the teams that we're filming, is the Bengals. And we are filming the New York Jets, who at the time were good, but still not that big of a threat. And I don't know. It just blows my mind, and it makes me think that maybe Tom Brady had nothing to do with Deflategate now, because he's gone, and it's still going on. So I think this might make Tom Brady make Tom Brady innocent maybe in the Deflategate thing. But Tom Brady's not innocent here. So Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. Yeah, you like that? Aaron said. So Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, a lot of other NFL quarterbacks and NFL players are getting together in groups. They're going to high school fields or whatever, and they're practicing together as a group. And the NFL Players Association, I think he's their executive, I don't know, some vice president or something like that. His name is DeMaurice Smith. And he just came out and he said that that these players that are practicing need to understand that what they are doing right now could affect negotiations going into next season, or even going into this season, could affect kind of negotiations, because the NFL has put out a guideline, not a rule, but a guideline, that you don't need to practice in groups, you don't need to, be in groups together, you don't need to be doing stuff together because of the coronavirus. And I understand guys like Tom Brady and Russell Wilson, the kings of preparation, they want to be ready for the season to start, so it's not illegal to work out, but you're advised not to, and you go ahead and do it anyway. That's gonna come back and bite every single NFL player when we roll around and the season's getting ready to start, and the NFL and the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association Union, have to discuss about different negotiations and discuss about money and discuss about all these things. It's going to create an issue because the NFL will go, hey, you remember 2.5 months ago or a month and a half ago when we told you that we didn't want y'all practicing together, and now 7 guys on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the coronavirus because one of them had it while they worked out with Tom Brady? We told you not to. So now they're going to have to take these different measures, and they're going to have to be more strict when the NFL season starts. So, and I understand, like I said, kings of preparation, like I'm going to be ready for the season, and my team's going to be ready for the season. That's extremely important. That is. But it doesn't matter how prepared you are when the guys that you got prepared with aren't there, because one of them got 4 other ones sick, and now you're missing a wide receiver, a left tackle, a running back, and a middle linebacker. Now you're missing key components of your team, or you're missing 2 wide receivers and your right tackle, and you're getting killed around the edge. I understand, and if it was me, I'd do the same thing. I'm here to work. I'm here to get better. I'm here to win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady and Russell Wilson are guys that are very serious about their craft. So I understand why we're going out and we're going against the NFL's suggestive guidelines and working out, because we want to be ahead of the curve. And then the other guys who are watching Tom Brady and Russell Wilson go, we have to work out too, because if we don't, we'll get left behind. We'll get crushed this year. So now other teams are working out in groups, and it's kind of creating it's not a big problem now. Right now, it's not a big problem. It's just kind of a joke where a helicopter in Tampa Bay kind of comes up and is able to see them practicing and films it, and Tom Brady stops filming, and it's kind of a joke, like, yeah, you caught us, but you're not going to catch us on film practicing. We're just hanging out. And the helicopter leaves, and they go back to practice. It's a joke now, or it's a small thing now, but in a month and a half, when the NFL is prepared to come back, and we have players that have the coronavirus, they have to renegotiate things. Guys like Tom Brady and Russell Wilson, and even like Odell and all these guys that are working out with different people, they're going to be who is to blame, because not only did they do that the NFL said that they really would like you not to do, they set the example for other players that we're working out in groups. You probably should too. And none of them have said that, but your actions speak louder than your words. So I think that guys doing the group practices, I would do it because you need to be ready for the year. But I think it's going to come back to bite them when it comes to negotiations at the beginning of the season, or even if they have to redo the CBA because of some complications. If they have to redo that next year, even though they just redid it this year, if they have to redo it next year, it'll cause a lot of problems. But who do I know? Oh, who do I know? I don't know anybody, but what do I know? It could be no problem at all, and the NFL season goes through, and we have our CBA until the year 2029. So I don't know. But I'm still going to stay in the NFL, and I named these 2 teams earlier when I was talking about Colin Kaepernick, the Seahawks and the Ravens. I said that they could be 2 teams that Cap could be a backup for based on their backup situation. The Seahawks having Geno Smith, who's a serviceable backup, but not great. And the Ravens having former second overall pick Robert Griffin III is their backup, who's been injury-plagued. So I was talking about them earlier. They're in the news for another player that makes me sick, honestly. Like, I don't understand. and maybe I won't ever understand. But apparently the Seattle Seahawks and the Baltimore Ravens have entertained the thought of bringing Antonio Brown in for some workouts and to possibly make a roster. This is stupid. I'm just blown away. America is truly the land of opportunities and the land of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th chances. I like Antonio Brown on the football field. Antonio Brown is a smaller Randy Moss. You can't double him. For some reason, at his height, you can't stop him in the red zone. He'll go over you. He'll go around you. He'll go through you. If you're the kicker or the punter, he'll kick you in the face and jump over you. He is the last probably 7 years in the NFL. He's been the best wide receiver. Even though he played one game last year, he's still been the best wide receiver. If you're telling me in their prime, no personality, just a player, who would I take? It'd be Antonio Brown over the last 10 years. It would be AB, no doubt. But he does have a personality, and he does talk, and he's not a robot, and that's where the problems come in. He's been involved in sexual allegation cases, just the whole call me Mr. Big Chest in Oakland. He gets cut from that team really quick, then gets cut from New England for the sexual allegations. The whole Pittsburgh thing, just extremely miserable, just embarrassing whenever your teammate, your young wide receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster gets like the team player of the year, and instead of celebrating it and telling him good job, you knock him on Twitter. Like, he just mouths about quarterbacks, mouths about coaches, just in trouble all the time. I've talked about this on one of the earlier episodes of the KSO, that talent, for the longest time, talent has trumped character. If you were talented, it doesn't matter what you do, what you say, how you act away from your craft. When you're in those lines inside that 100-yard field, none of the other stuff matters. If you can ball, if you can play, a team will find a spot for you on their roster. About the last 2 or 3 years, that has changed. And I love that it has changed. I love that you act like an idiot and you want to do things that the NFL views as wrong, or a business, a corporation sees as wrong and doesn't fit their standards and their guidelines. There's not a place for you. It doesn't matter how talented you are. I mean, it's the same thing with a law firm. If you're one of the best lawyers in the world, but you have, I'm not saying Antonio Brown is a drug problem. I'm not. I'm just using it as an example. If you're a lawyer, if you're the best lawyer in the world, and you have a serious drug problem, and it makes you late from work, you screw up when you're trying to present your cases in court, and you just don't do the work that you normally do outside of work, you're not productive at all, and you cause problems and you get in trouble with the law. But when you go to work, you're great. A law firm wouldn't have anything to do with you. They would fire you. And you probably wouldn't get very many opportunities anywhere else. You might have to go to another country to practice law, as a matter of fact. Or you'd have to be a small lawyer who owns their own firm that does like divorce law and stuff like that. You could never do big law, big cases, because of your personality, because of your character. The NFL was not like that for a while, where you could act however you wanted. You could get in trouble and do these things, and it's somewhat okay. We'll give you a 2-game suspension. Roger Goodell slaps you on the hand. He fines you $10,000, which is 1/50th of your contract. So it's not even a big deal. And you just continue to play. But now it's different. And I love that it's different, because people like Antonio Brown don't deserve to make that kind of money. They don't deserve to be paid in one of the highest paying professions in America. They don't deserve that. He deserves to get his act together, to go to a psychiatrist, counseling, whatever, figure out what's going on with him, fix it, be a good teammate, find a role on a team, help young wide receivers develop, and then do what he does. And then he can play on an NFL team. But right now, I hope no one signs Antonio Brown. And that's coming from somebody that used to love Antonio Brown. 4 or 5 years ago, Pittsburgh Steelers, I loved him. I thought he was fantastic. Asked me then, who's the best wide receiver in the NFL? Antonio Brown. 2 years in a row on my fantasy team, I had the first overall pick. I didn't take a running back. I didn't take a quarterback. I took Antonio Brown. So I liked Antonio Brown, but there's not a place for a character like that in sports or in front of a camera for that matter. I don't think with a person like that shouldn't be able to get a large platform. And I hope Antonio Brown figures things out. I really, really do, because I like seeing Antonio Brown play at a high level. I love seeing Antonio Brown on the football field. I love his little dance that he does when he gets in the end zone. I love it. But there's no place for a person like that in the NFL. And I like that the NFL has kind of workshopped some conditions and workshopped some rules and workshopped their disciplinary action. And I like that NFL teams and NFL owners have followed the NFL's lead. And there's still going to be, like I said, a couple teams. I think the Seahawks are one of them. I think the Ravens possibly as well. There's still going to be a couple teams that will entertain the thought of it. But I hope no one signs him until he figures his crap out. And I hope to see him in the league again soon. Not right now, because he hadn't changed a bit. Speaking of a player that's been causing a little bit of problems in the news, we're staying with NFL. I'm telling you, the first 35 to 40 minutes of this is straight NFL. My favorite. So another player who's been causing a lot of problems with his franchise, as you know, not the same way Antonio Brown did, but he's been in the news. It is Jamal Adams. And if you haven't heard, Jamal Adams, the safety of the New York Jets, was drafted with the 6th overall pick, I believe, a couple years ago. He's got, I think, 2 years left on his rookie deal. I could be wrong, but he's got like maybe a year or two left on his rookie deal. And he wants an extension right now. And he wanted to be paid $20 million. The highest defensive back in the NFL, I believe, is 14, maybe 14.5 to $15 million. So he wants to be paid $5 million more than the next guy. Jamal Adams, you're good. You're great. Not that good. I'm not paying you like I'd pay a quarterback. I'm not paying you like I'd pay a free agent running back that we're getting for 2 years and we're going to splurge on him. I'm not paying you like that. So when him and the Jets begin to have issues with that contract talk, well, then he releases a list of 8 teams he'd be willing to play for, basically saying, trade me. So when you do that, you destroy any trade value that the team can get for you. But the teams are like the Ravens, the Chiefs, basically teams that made the playoffs, and then the Dallas Cowboys was a team as well who didn't make the playoffs. But they're all like really good. They're all like the top tier teams in the NFL, and then Dallas. So he just wants to win, which is cool. I get that. I want to win. Everything I do, I want to win. I'm competitive. I want to win at this. I want to win at work. I want to win in my relationships. I want to win in life. So I understand that. I get it. But you cause these issues with this team, the team that trusted in drafting you, you scare off other people. And Jamal Adams said that whoever he got traded to did not have to give him an extension, basically saying he wants to test free agency. So the team that trades for him, there's a chance they lose him. And you're going to have a former 6th overall pick that has been an all-pro, a Pro Bowler, you're going to have to give away a first-round pick, maybe 2. Nobody's going to give away 2 first-round picks or a first and a third or a first and a second for a guy that might not even be on the team the following year because he might sign somewhere else. So I don't think anything happens with Jamal Adams. I really, really don't. I think with the whole Jamal Adams trade rumors, I think he stays right in New York with the Jets. I think he plays out this contract. I think they try to negotiate, but he wants too much, which usually I say pay the players. I'm always saying pay the players. I'm not paying Jamal Adams $20 million. I'll pay him $15. I'll make him the highest paid defensive back in the NFL. I'll pay him $15.5. I'm not paying him $20. I'm not making my safety one of my 4 biggest contracts on my team. That makes no sense. It's your quarterback, your left tackle, a wide receiver maybe, and then a linebacker or a defense like a pass rusher. That's who you sign. Quarterback, left tackle, a skill position player, and then a pass rusher. That's who you give big money to, not the safety. So I think with kind of what Jamal Adams has done here, he has really, really not only destroyed any trade value that could help him get traded, but teams that were somewhat interested in him saying, yeah, I don't want a contract extension with the team I'm traded to. I'll, just a 1-year deal, or just a 1-year thing is fine. Why would somebody trade for somebody they're going to lose? If you went to an interview and you told the company, yeah, in 6 months, I'm going to be doing interviews for another job, why would they hire you? We're going to lose you in 6 months. Why would we waste the money on training you, getting you prepared, getting your office set up, teaching you everything, and by the time you learn everything in 3-4 months, you're about to be out the door. Doing the same work for someone else, for another company, and we paid to train you. Why would a business hire that person? Why would you trade for Jamal Adams? So I think Jamal Adams is stuck in New York, at least for the year. And I think he still has 2 years left on his deal. So maybe late in the year, close to the trade deadline, maybe next offseason someone trades for him. But I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And like I said, I'm a fan of give the guys that are out there taking the risk, that are the ones that can get injured or permanently injured, give them money. Don't try to cheat them and cut corners and, get a dime back for yourself. Give them the money. Give them what they've earned. Jamal Adams ain't earned no $20 million. Jamal Adams, in my opinion, isn't even the best safety in the NFL. The best safety in the NFL is Derwin James. He's just was injured this last year. That dude can do everything. Jamal Adams kind of reminds me of a linebacker that can play safety. He's kind of like Steve Atwater. That's who he reminds me of from the Denver Broncos. But I don't know. I think Jamal Adams has probably shot himself in the foot here. And I like Jamal Adams as a player. I don't know about as a person. But I mean, every person, every good player, great player deserves to win. And if you don't think you're going to do that with the Jets, I understand wanting to get out. Maybe do it behind closed doors. Maybe go tell management, hey, I want out of here. If you can just find me a trade, here's some teams I would be interested in being traded to. Thank you. That's what you do. You don't go on social media. You don't talk about your contract. You don't give teams that you would play for publicly. You don't do that stuff. You only hurt yourself and you hurt your franchise. And when you hurt the franchise you play for, they're not sending you where you want to go. He might be in, I don't know where he could be in Jacksonville this year. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't blame him for trading to Jacksonville. So let's roll out of the NFL. I've been talking about football a lot. The NBA season, or the NBA schedule, was released a couple days ago. And we know who's going to be playing who. And we know when the games are going to happen. So the first game will be the Pelicans and the Utah Jazz on July 30th, I believe. And then games will resume after that. The 8 exhibition games that will decide who's in the playoffs and who moves and whatnot. And after looking at the schedules and stuff, what I kind of noticed, and maybe this is kind of some kind of the home fan, kind of looking at who my team has to play. I think the Dallas Mavericks have a really hard schedule. I think they have a hard schedule because they play Houston, the Lakers, the Clippers. They play the Jazz. They play the Phoenix Suns, which, I mean, they won like 29 games or something. It's if that many games. That's an easy game. I watched Dallas before the season shut down. Dallas had a lot of problems with the Phoenix Suns. I don't know why. Phoenix just had the Mavericks number in the season this year. So I think Dallas has kind of a difficult schedule. I don't really know what happens to Dallas. I think they make the playoffs still, but we'll see. The Washington Wizards, they both have to do with magic, kind of. The Washington Wizards, I'm looking at their schedule, and I was like, man, they're the 9 seed right now. They might make this 8 seed because they got an easy schedule. And then I got to the end of the schedule. I was like, oh, my God. They start off with, like, Phoenix and Orlando, and I think they play the Spurs maybe. Then their, like, last 4 games are the Clippers, the Lakers, the Rockets, and the Bucks. You're probably losing all 4 of those. So when I was looking at the schedule, I was hopeful for the Wizards. Like, hey, Maybe Bradley Beal will make the playoffs, Who knows what'll happen? No. I think they're like 2 games back or something like that. They're probably losing those last 4 in a row. So I don't think there's anything huge, like anything surprising about the NBA schedule being released at all. I was a little surprised that the Magic weren't the team that started the whole thing. I figured Orlando would play like Milwaukee or Toronto or somebody, and that would be the first game. I'm surprised it's the Pelicans and the Jazz, but then I'm not surprised because the biggest appeal of the NBA right now, besides LeBron James, is Zion Williamson. And so putting him as your headline, your opening game for the season opening back up makes sense to me. I understand that. So let me get to my last topic here. I'm going to try and cut this off about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Major League Baseball is back. And when I look back, like I said earlier, looking through the windshield, when the NBA proposes what they proposed, now I look back through the rearview mirror. What I said was that we don't know what the world's going to look like in a month. Everything could be open back up. Well, the exact opposite has happened. Things have shut back down. So the NBA, I think that hopefully that will work with the bubble and with no fans and that kind of thing. And Major League Baseball's following suit. Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association finally agreed to terms of I believe it's a 60-game format. So Major League Baseball will restart July 23rd and 24th. That'll be opening day. They will be playing 60 games in 66 days. So a lot of back-to-back days. So you'll be playing around 4 games a week. So about 4 out of every 6 days, you'll play a game. Out of 5 out of every 7 days, you're playing a game. So these baseball players are going to be very, very busy, and they're going to be very fatigued, and that's going to take a toll on them when we roll into playoffs. But also, having a 60-game format, there's a sense of urgency in baseball now, because there's teams that'll start the season 7-14, and you're like, man, we're 7 games behind, or we're 7 games back from 500. We're not hitting the ball well. We're not pitching well. Maybe we can turn it around before the All-Star break. And then your team does, and you're like, oh, cool. We're a game above 500, and we've played 80 games. We're halfway through the year. Awesome. That's not how this goes now. If you start the year in a losing slump, you lose 7, 8, 9 games in a row, you're probably out. So baseball is going to have a sense of urgency where these games where you go into the 13th, 14th inning, they're going to mean a little bit more, because losing that one game could bump you out of a division winner, out of a wild card spot, out of the playoffs completely. So I think baseball's done a good job of creating a need to view, because every single game, all 60 of them, will be important. And I think baseball needs to look at this and say, what could we do to make the season more like this? Maybe we do 81 games. Maybe we split the season in half. Maybe we do 100 games. The games would still matter a little bit more, because when you play 162 games, they're playing 102 less games this year than they normally play. That's insane. They're playing almost 1/3 the number of games they usually play. It creates a need to win, because like I said, if Texas comes out this year and starts out 2-11, we're done. We're done. You're not going to make the playoffs. There's no way. There's no way. You can't come back. So I like Major League Baseball's format right now. And they also have a date for the trade deadline. It'll be August 31st, my dad's birthday. It's kind of cool. There's also some new rules. So there will be, according to, what's this website? ffw.usatoday.com. I'm going to read this verbatim. There will be a universal designated hitter. So now, instead of pitchers batting, pitchers will not bat. Every single team, American League and now National League, will have a designated hitter, someone that only bats. I think they should have done this 5-10 years ago. I don't want to watch the pitcher walk up and strike out 3 times or hit a weak ground ball to first. I don't want to see that. The Madison Bumgarner blasting a home run, or the Angels pitcher, I can't remember his name, the foreign pitcher from Japan. I cannot remember his name right now. I think it's Shohei Ohtani or something like that. They are the anomaly. Pitchers aren't hitting a bunch of home runs. Pitchers aren't hitting for average. Even Madison Bumgarner doesn't hit for average. So I like this. I don't want to watch a dude that bats 160 go up there 3 times in a game and strike out. It's a wasted spot in the lineup. So I like that there's now going to be a universal designated hitter, and extra innings will start with a runner on second base. That's just to keep games from going into, like I said earlier, the 13th, 14th, 15th inning. It's to keep games a little bit shorter. Instead of going a 4 or 5 hour baseball game going into the 16th inning, you're probably going to go to the 10th or the 11th, because if there's a runner already on second base, a well-placed hit wins the game if you're in the bottom of that inning. So I think baseball's doing a good job. They had a lot of problems with the Players Association getting the league restarted and agreeing on terms. And when it comes to their CBA next year, that will play a factor. How unwilling the players were to get this deal done. That'll make a problem. And I can't leave without talking about this first. Major League Baseball also has their first 2 players that will not be playing this year. Mike Leake, a pitcher for the Diamondbacks, and Ryan Zimmerman. Can't remember where Ryan Zimmerman plays, not even going to look it up. But they are the first 2 players to say that we will not be participating in this year's season because of the coronavirus. And I think more players are going to do that. We've already seen NBA guys do it. We've already seen a bulk of NBA players go, yeah, I'm not coming to Orlando. I'm going to stay with my family, or I don't want to catch the virus. And I think we'll see a good group of MLB players do that as well. But we'll still have a good season, just like the NBA. We'll still finish off the season, have a good playoffs. Baseball is going to be exciting. Every game matters now. It's not a marathon. It's turned into a sprint. So I'm excited for everything. And before I wrap this up, just want to say I don't want to talk about it at all. The Los Angeles Lakers, Avery Bradley, one of the players that said he was not going to go to Orlando, they had to find someone to replace him. The Los Angeles Lakers are finalizing a deal today for J.R. Smith. So J.R. Smith and LeBron James will be reunited in Los Angeles, and we remember what happened in Cleveland the last time they were together. So made one of the greatest memes of all time. So that's it for my topics today. What am I, right at 50 minutes? Yeah, I'm close to 50 minutes. That kind of worked out on time. I talked a lot of football today. I love football. It's my favorite sport. That's America's pastime. We knocked out a little NBA, got to a little bit of baseball. I think that's going to be it from me today. If you want to follow this podcast, you can do it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Anchor, wherever you get your podcast. It's there. Also, go check out iFilm Cinema's production, ifilmcinemasproduction.com. Go check out the Not Normal Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, AOC, the Academy of Conspiracy, same place. Also, go check out iFilm Cinema's Gaming. It is on YouTube. We also have another YouTube channel, iFilm Cinema Production. We put out a couple videos there every now and then. We also have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/NYNP, we have 3 tiers. We got the average tier, which is $5. We have the spooky tier, which is $6. And we have the normal tier, which is $7. Don't be an average spooky person. Be normal. And a couple months ago, we put out our first Not Your Normal Podcast merchandise. As of right now, if you sign up for the Patreon, it is a one-time purchase, a one-time subscription, so you pay $5, $6, or $7 one time. We have a limited amount, maybe 12 to 15 shirts. I have no clue how many we have left. The first people that sign up, screenshot that you signed up, and snap it to either me or Aaron, we will communicate with you, and we will find out a way to mail you or deliver you a free Not Your Normal Podcast shirt. We only have like 2 or 3 mediums left, so if you wear a medium and you want a free shirt, or you want a shirt for $5 or $6 or $7, go sign up to Patreon, because when we run out of those shirts, they're never going to be here again, because we're rolling into a new design here pretty quick. So if you want a free, or not free, but if you want a extra 40-minute episode, if you want a free shirt from Not Your Normal Podcast merch, and if you want to be able to ask us questions that we will answer, That topic will be called Patreon Questions. Go to patreon.com/NYNP and join. And all the proceeds of the Patreon do not go to us. They do not go to me or Aaron. They go to the charity Feeding America. So your money is going to a good cause, as well as you are getting a shirt and an extra episode, and it's worth it. So go check that out, patreon.com/NYNP. Also, you can find me on Snapchat, KyleDurham21. Every Tuesday and Friday, I post the links to the Not Your Normal podcast right here. It's on my story. Just swipe up on it. You can go straight to the link. Every Wednesday, AOC, that comes out on Wednesday. Go check that out on Wednesday. If you haven't listened to season 1 through 3 of the Academy of Conspiracy, what are you doing? Go check those out too. I end every episode this way. If you are experiencing or you are suffering from severe depression, or you know someone who is severely depressed and they're having problems, get help or get them help, because doing nothing is one of the worst decisions that you can make, and it can lead you to making the ultimate terrible decision, and that is suicide. So I know people who have suffered with depression almost their entire lives. I've had situational depression when things just aren't going well, so I understand. And I didn't do nothing about it. I found people to talk to. I found out ways to get rid of it, to cope with it even, to manage it. And don't do nothing. Because when you do nothing and you don't solve that problem, it leads to even more depression, which then leads to suicide. And you do not want to be a statistic of how many people that committed suicide last year. And, when you do something like that, you affect your loved ones, the people around you, family, friends. So there are people that are there to help. There is the suicide hotline that you can call. Friends, family. I know many of you have friends and family that you can sit down and talk to. And if you don't have any of that, if you go to a middle school, a high school, a college, they have counselors that is their job, is for you to be able to come in there and sit down and talk to them and them give you advice and them try to help you. So if you have nowhere else to go, talk to a counselor. If you can't go there, call the suicide hotline. There's people around you that care, and don't let depression ruin your life. So I think that is going to be it for me. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the of the KSO of Kai's Sports Opinion, and I will see you next week.